The Temple of Artemis in Ephesus stood as one of the most awe-inspiring structures of the ancient world. Situated in Ionia, along the western coast of what is now Turkey, this magnificent sanctuary was dedicated to Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, nature, and women. Like the renowned Temple of Zeus at Olympia, its architectural splendor and grandeur earned it a place among the 7 wonders of the ancient world, drawing pilgrims and travelers from across the Mediterranean. Ephesus owed much of its prominence to its strategic location. Positioned at the crossroads of major land and sea trade routes, the city flourished as a hub of commerce and culture. This prosperity allowed religious institutions to thrive, with the Temple of Artemis becoming the city's most iconic symbol. More than a place of worship, it functioned as a focal point for economic activity and cultural exchange. Devotees from distant lands gathered at its gates to offer tribute to the goddess, participate in sacred rites, and engage in the bustling trade that surrounded the sanctuary. The origins of the temple trace back to antiquity, long before Greek influence reached the region. Early evidence suggests that the site was home to a pre-Hellenic fertility cult, possibly linked to local deities associated with abundance and renewal. Over time, as Greek settlers arrived, Artemis was syncretized with these older Anatolian traditions, evolving into the dominant divine figure of the region. The temple underwent multiple reconstructions, reflecting not only the city's economic expansion, but also the ongoing desire to honor the goddess with ever more elaborate structures. One of the temple's most striking features was the colossal statue of Artemis, housed within its sacred enclosure. Known as Artemis Polymastos, the figure was distinguished by the numerous protrusions on her chest, long interpreted as a symbol of fertility and nourishment. While many scholars have described these features as multiple breasts, alternative theories propose that they represent bull testicles, emphasizing Artemis's role in the cycle of life and nature's renewal. Regardless of the interpretation, the image reinforced her status as a provider and protector, connecting her to far older traditions of the Anatolian mother goddess. Revered as the Great Mother of Ephesus, Artemis embodied both nurturing and sovereignty, a divine figure worshipped beyond the traditional Greek pantheon. The blending of local and Hellenic traditions resulted in a form of veneration unique to Ephesus, making the temple not only a Greek sanctuary, but also a continuation of much older religious customs. Architecturally, the Temple of Artemis was a masterpiece of marble craftsmanship. Its immense size and intricate decoration made it an unparalleled wonder of its time. Ionic columns, adorned with elaborate carvings, supported a grand entablature richly ornamented with mythological reliefs. Some sections of the structure were believed to be vividly painted, following the Greek tradition of enhancing sculptures and temples with vibrant colors to heighten their visual impact. The most celebrated iteration of the temple, commissioned by Croesus, the wealthy king of Lydia, was completed in the 6th century BC. Boasting over 100 towering columns, this monumental project elevated Ephesus to one of the foremost religious centers of the Hellenic world. However, in 356 BC, a catastrophic event altered the course of the temple's history forever. A deliberate act of arson set the sanctuary ablaze, reducing much of the sacred structure to ruins. The culprit, whose name the ancient Ephesians forbade from being recorded or spoken, sought infamy through the destruction of one of the era's greatest monuments. The loss was profound, not only as a religious and architectural tragedy, but also as an assault on the cultural heritage of the Mediterranean world. In an effort to erase his legacy, the city authorities forbade the utterance of his name, an act of defiance against his desperate bid for notoriety. Even now, many accounts choose to follow this ancient decree by omitting his identity. A legend from antiquity intertwines the temple's destruction with the birth of Alexander the Great in Pella, Macedonia. According to the tale, Artemis was absent from Ephesus at the time of the fire because she was attending the birth of the future conqueror. The story reinforced the idea that Alexander's arrival was preordained by divine forces, further enhancing the mythos surrounding his life and destiny. Notwithstanding the devastation, the Temple of Artemis began to be rebuilt shortly afterwards, encouraged by popular fervor and Ephesus's affluence. Its new structure attempted to revive its original magnificence, amplifying the size of the temple and perfecting its decoration. The use of marble and opulent ornamentation reinforced the powerful and opulent image of the goddess and the city itself. This definitive rendering continued for centuries, testifying to periods of prosperity, political strife, and cultural change. Like other ancient religious centers, preserving the Temple of Artemis faced great challenges. Earthquakes and natural disasters affected the region at different times, weakening the structure. Military conflicts and plundering also added to the building's decline. As Christianity spread, pagan worship slowly lost relevance, resulting in its neglect and, later, the use of the temple's materials for new constructions. From this point on, the remnants of the sanctuary dispersed, being buried by debris and time. While the temple's decline was ultimately inevitable, its artistic and spiritual legacy lived on through the generations. Historians and travelers of that period wrote records depicting the building's exceptional glory, contributing to its enduring memory. Modern archaeology succeeded in pinpointing traces of the temple and parts of its foundations, helping to partly reconstruct its history and the influence it exerted on other, later architectural works. Archaeological excavations, conducted in recent years by international teams, together with the Austrian Institute of Archaeology, have provided unprecedented information about the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus. The most remarkable findings include additional fragments of Ionic columns and capitals, helping to throw light on aspects of the sanctuary's reconstruction following the fire of 356. Researchers have also unearthed remnants of complex drainage systems, indicating that the builders were keen to protect the structure from frequent flooding in the region. Ceramic pieces, statuettes, and small offerings recovered from the foundations also suggest votive cults of fertility and female protection, reinforcing the key role of Artemis for Ephesians. Together with soil samples, this evidence helps us understand the successive stages of the temple's construction and renovation, as well as the sustained devotion that supported this wonderful sanctuary for centuries. The Temple of Artemis's cultural footprint stretched beyond the borders of Ephesus and antiquity itself. From a stylistic perspective, the magnitude of its columns and the sophistication of its decoration inspired both Hellenistic and Roman artists, besides being reflected in Renaissance and classical cultural movements centuries later. The Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, even in ruins, still testifies to human ingenuity and the power that religion exercised over ancient societies. Its construction, destruction, and reconstruction stories reveal the ability of a people to rise to challenges and perpetuate traditions that still resonate today. All archaeological remains and every mention in ancient texts guarantee that the memory of this great sanctuary will never fade, honoring the goddess who reigned over the city of Ephesus for such a long time.